Economics, Standard 12, Unit 6, Banking, Commercial Banks. A commercial bank is a financial institution. It carries all the operations related to deposits and withdrawal of money for the general public, providing loans for investment, etc. These banks are profit-making institutions. They do business only to make profit. As liquidity of assets is to be maintained, they do not provide a long-term credit. The two primary characteristics of a commercial bank are lending and borrowing. The bank receives the deposits and gives money to various projects to earn profit. To earn interest. The functions of commercial banks are very important. We can divide the functions into three categories: primary functions, secondary functions, and other functions. So, functions we can divide under the functions, we can divide them into three categories. So, first primary function, and then secondary. Easily we can remember primary, secondary, and third other functions. So it comes under third other functions. Okay, now first primary function. So what are the primary functions of commercial bank? The main aim of commercial banks is that accepting deposits, accepting deposits and then also advancing loans. So there are two important functions. One is accepting deposits and second is advancing loans. So first, accepting deposits. So under accepting deposits, there are two types. First one is demand deposits and second one time deposits. So under accepting deposits, we have two different types. Demand. So demand deposits, and second one is time deposits. So what is demand deposits? As an individual, any person can just withdraw deposits without any prior notice to the bank. So the owner of these deposits are just allowed to withdraw money at any time by writing a withdrawal slip or just giving a check at the bank counter or just from ATM centers using debit card. So that's what we call it as demand deposits. And this is simply demand deposit. At any time we can withdraw the money, but there is no interest paid by the bank. Now time deposits. From the word time deposits, you can easily understand that, that is, deposit is done by an individual for a period of time, to certain committed period of time. Banks pay higher interest on time deposits. So these can be withdrawn only after a specific time period by providing a written notice to the bank. And then we have second, advancing loans. So the second one is advancing loans. So advancing loans, after receiving these demand deposits, the bank does not keep it itself. It just refers, that is, grant loans to individuals and business people. And of course, commercial banks grant loans in the form of overdraft or cash credit and discounting bills of exchange. They give or they distribute this money for interest. So these are the primary what we call it as functions of the commercial banks. Now let us come for the second, that is secondary functions. So Primary functions, only two important things you have to remember: accepting deposits and second one is advancing loans. Then under secondary functions, we can divide them into two. One is that is agency function, and then another is just a general utility function. So what is agency function? So first one under secondary, agency function. So bank acts as an agent and for an individual or as well as for business people. Commercial banks act as agents of customers by provides by the central bank. So that's first one is what we call it as collecting checks. So under this collecting checks. So this is done by the commercial banks. Second one is collecting income. Commercial banks collect dividends, pension, salaries, and rents, and also interest on investments on behalf of their customers. And for information, when any income is collected by the bank, it just gives a credit voucher. So that is collecting income. So first collecting checks, second collecting income. And third one, the third important point under secondary function, that is under the agency functions, that is paying expenses. Paying expenses. So what is paying expenses? That is, the commercial bank make the payments of various obligations of the customers. Example, just paying telephone bill and current bill, electricity bill, insurance premium, school fees and rents and so on. Similar to credit voucher. So that is creating income or collecting income. Credit voucher is given. Similar to credit voucher, a debit voucher is sent to customer for information, that is when expenses are paid by the bank. General utility functions. Commercial banks provide some utility services to customers. The first one is banks provide locker facilities to the customers for safe custody of jewelry, shares, debentures and other valuable items. And of course, bank is not responsible for the items in the locker. So second, banks issue traveler's check for the customers for traveling outside the country. And the third important point regarding this general utility functions, that is dealing in foreign exchange. Banks help in providing, that is foreign exchange to businessmen, especially to deal in exports and imports with the permission of the central bank. So all these three important functions come under general utility functions. And then we got the third important in the secondary function is transferring of funds. So transferring of funds. Transferring of funds. And remember that is commercial banks just transfer money from one bank to the another by means of draft, telephonic and electronic transfers, and that is done. All these are done by the bank from one bank to the another. Okay, and then the fourth important one is letter of credit. Letter of credit. Public believe have full faith in that is the credit worthiness of bank, and so the letter of credit commercial banks issue to their customers to certify their credit worthiness and underwriting securities. So that's why the public has full faith in the credit worthiness of banks. So they buy, that is securities. just underwritten by the banks. And then the third important one is electronic banking. So it includes such as debit cards and credit cards, and that is internet banking and so on. So all these come under letter of credit. So according to the functions of commercial bank, in the secondary functions we have agency functions, general utility functions, transferring of funds, and letter of credit are just carried out. And then other functions. So what are the other functions of commercial banks? The first and the foremost is, under other function is money supply. So money supply is just easy to be done by the commercial banks. So commercial banks accept demand deposits and then grant loans, lending loans. So the flow of money, the circulation of money supply is easily carried out by the commercial banks. So the under other functions, the first one is money supply. Other functions, money supply, and then that is without printing additional money, commercial banks help to increase money supply. That is the best function of the what we call it as commercial banks. And then second point is credit creation. It means the multiplication of loans and advances. So credit creation, and banks just receive deposits from the public and use these deposits to give loans for business people and also for individuals. And this function is known as credit creation. So first one is money supply and the second one is credit creation. So bank just receives deposits and lend loans to the business people as well as to the individuals. And the third important one is collection of statistics. Banks collect and publish statistics relating to trade, commerce and industry. Hence, they advise customers and the public, that is public authorities, on financial matters. So, collection of statistics. The third point, collection of statistics. So this is also done. Statistics. This is also done by the commercial bank. So under other functions, money supply is done by the commercial bank, and credit creation, that is accepting deposits and then distributing the money as loans, lending to the business people and the traders so that they can just prosper their economy. And moreover, that is what is credit creation? That is use that deposits, accepting the deposits and using the deposits to give loans. His function is known as credit function or credit creation. And then collection of statistics, and banks collect and publish statistics relating to trade, commerce and industry. Hence, they advise customers as well as public authorities and financial matters. So these are the important functions of commercial bank. Let us continue the lesson in the next class.